Hey guys, God bless you. I want to share a dream that I've shared before on this channel. Back in 2020, actually, I shared this dream. But I believe that it's time to reshare it as the Lord has given me some deeper understanding of one of the points of the dream. And also, the dream itself brings clarity and understanding to a lot of the frustration that we're in and the situation that we're seeing politically and specifically with what's happening to 45, what's going on with him. And it will give some understanding of the Lord's plan, which always supersedes what we see in the natural. So in this dream, I had this dream in 2020, before November of 2020, and I was standing in the 45's office. I was standing in front of his desk, and in the dream, the Lord said, because he pointed at 45 and said, because you are a father to Israel, and there was a young man beside him in the office that represented Israel, because you're a father to him, you're going to win. And so he then 45 handed me after this all of these white balls that I knew in the dream were pure white ballots. And he handed them to me. There were so many, more than I could count. And it was my job in the dream to take these ballots, these pure white, untainted ballots, to the finish line. And when I left his office, I had to go down landslide after landslide after landslide. It was like I was going down these huge giant mudslides and rock slides, carrying them carefully. And when I finally got to the finish, then it was shown on the screens that he had won. And I know now that these landslides are taking a lot longer than we thought. But I know in the dream that the Lord was showing there was needed endurance, there was needed perseverance, and a carrying of the pure white ballots to the finish line by the saints of God, by those who are praying for truth to be revealed, for justice and righteousness to reign in the nation. And so I want to encourage you with two things that the Lord showed me about the dream. First, that Israel, I know, is literal Israel, because we know when we look at 45 and the time he was in public office, let's call it that, where he was in office at that time, he did act as a father to Israel and the things that he did for that nation. But the Lord showed me through confirmation after confirmation that he is not only a father to literal Israel, but to Israel representing God's people in this nation, and the nation of America, as we are a covenant nation. We're the only other nation in history that started off in covenant, because of a covenant to the one true God. And so he is a father to Israel, a father to America, and a father to true believers in Jesus Christ. And that is why the Lord appointed him and allowed him to win with the pure white ballots. And the other thing that he showed me and highlighted to me about this is that the announcement of that win did not occur until the very end of landslide after landslide after landslide after landslide. It didn't happen until the very, very end. And so that is something that we have to keep in mind when we see the opposite happening. It's just that we're having to carry the white ballots down another landslide, and we're having to, in perseverance and truth, take the task entrusted to us to hold in faith what the Lord has spoken, what clearly happened, the clear righteousness and truth of that situation, and trust the Lord for his timing. But don't be discouraged by the landslides that we have to carry them down. And in the dream, there was a man there, a faceless man, who I believe represented Holy Spirit or an angel, an angelic presence. They're assisting me because these slides were very steep and sharp, and I would have to go down them really fast. And so I believe this season that we're in is just an example that we are still having to carry these pure white ballots down the landslides, And it wasn't until the finish line that it was publicly made clear and announced publicly on news stations and things like that. So what you know to be true, if you are carrying the truth and persevering with the truth, and you haven't given up just because the timeline is taking longer than you thought, know that the time that it will be made public is at the very end, once all the landslides have occurred. And we don't know how long that will be, but it should be an encouragement that that God didn't say that it would be public before we took it down, all the landslides of and all the trials and the pushback. The landslides come first, and then the final exposure of truth and justice. So I hope that this encourages you and blesses you as you continue to lift up the man that the Lord has his hand upon and has anointed and appointed to be the leader in this hour, in this season, for this nation. And join with me in just praying for him and for his family, and believing what God has spoken, and not changing our minds or thinking God has changed his mind just because time has passed. Be blessed.